Hello everyone, welcome to Studious IELTS. My name is Surinder Chaudhary. Today I have brought to you a workshop related to one specific type of essay that appears in your IELTS examination. Nowadays IDP has stopped asking very simple questions like describing advantages and disadvantages. Nowadays questions are little bit doctored. For example, they are asking you more of the double questions or direct questions in your essay, right? Well, one of them is double question essay. This is a little challenging in comparison to simple essays like advantages or disadvantages or effects, causes and effects. So, in this workshop, we are going to walk through all those methodologies through which we can understand such questions and solve the essay in a very easy method. In this workshop, I have also included all those practices where the vocabulary is going to be as high as getting you 8 plus or even 9 bands in your examination. So first of all, we are going to have a look on the question, that how the question appears in your examination. First, they will give you a certain statement. For example, the statement is in front of you. The statement says, fossil fuels are essential for producing electricity, powering industry, and fueling transportation. However, one day we will reach a point when all the world's fossil fuels have been depleted. So this is the statement that fossil fuels are absolutely important for us for a certain number of reasons, but there is a threat that it might be depleted at one point of time in future. Now the question arises, what questions are there you have to answer in association with this statement. The question says, first of all, how can we conserve these resources? First of all, secondly, what are some alternatives to fossil fuels? What can we use in the place of fossil fuels? Right. So this is how we have to answer this question in our essay prompt. Well, before we move further into the workshop, I have a number of tasks for you. Because you know your essay is evaluated on four basic parameters of writing evaluation: task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. So I want you to keep all these parameters in front of you before you start writing your essay, because in this workshop I am going to make you write your own essay along with me. So you should know those parameters. If you don't, we have a separate videos related to those parameters on our YouTube channel. So please watch that before you are solving such essays. So it is going to really going to be really helpful for you guys. Well, task number 2 is to write your own essay along with me after every segment of the essay. For example, when I have completed my introduction part of the essay, I want you to write your introduction in the similar method I have used, but I would want you to change it a bit according to your own understanding of the question. So if you do that, I would also request you to write your introduction or your response in the comment box of this video, so that I can also get to know that whether I'm being able to helpful or not. Okay, well, task number 3 for you is to note down all those words which you find difficult, which I have used in this essay, and find the meanings of those words by yourself, because it is going to help you to understand the vocabulary clearly. And if you have a good vocabulary range, it is going to give you good scores that we are intending for ourselves in writing, that is 8 or beyond that, even 9 we expect from you. Well, so after seeing the question, the part comes understand the question, right? Because understanding the question is very essential for the first parameter of writing evaluation, that is task achievement. How we should understand the question, let's have a look on it. So first of all, we have to know all the key features of the statement. So in this statement, overall, we know that they are talking about fossil fuels, its importance, and its threat to be depleted. But what are the major things, main points, key points that are to be taken care of if we have to get good scores in task achievement? Because task achievement requires you to address each and every part of the question that has been asked in your examination. So, what are those key points? Let's have a look on it. So first of all, the key point is fossil fuels. So the entire conversation should revolve around fossil fuels, but importance of fossil fuel has been explained, like it produces electricity, it powers industry, and it also makes the vehicles move, right? So this is the importance. But what is the threat? It might be depleted. This also have to be addressed in your essay. Major thing, how can we conserve it? First thing first. Second, what are the alternatives? These are also key points that are mainly to be addressed in your response to the essay. So this is how we have to understand the entire question. Only then we will be able to fulfill all the demands, all the requirements of your examiner who is supposed to give you scores in your essay. Well, now we are going to move to the explanation part where we are going to solve this essay, and in this solution we are going to begin with the first segment of essay response, that is introduction. As I always recommend that your essay response should always be in four main paragraphs. One should be introduction, then should be body paragraph 1, then should be body paragraph 2, and finally the entire conversation should be concluded in the final paragraph, that is conclusion. Well, in introduction, the first part to be taken care of is paraphrasing of the entire statement. Whatever they have asked you to talk about should be paraphrased in your own wording, because it is really essential to showcase your range. That are you able to say things in different ways? Do you have enough vocabulary to talk about something in a number of ways? If you have that, it is going to present a good image of your understanding of language, your control on language. So let's see how can we paraphrase our statement. Okay, first part of statement is about the importance of fossil fuels. So how can we elaborate that importance? Fossil fuels, which are the backbone of modern civilization, fuel our industries, power our homes, and propel our vehicles. We have said same thing that has been said in the question prompt, but here we have used different words, different way to say it. If you are able to do that, it's going to be a great response to your essay question. If we have to talk about the second part of the statement, where they are talking about the threat of depletion, how would we express that? Yet, the finite nature of these resources threatens us with the disappearance. So, the problem is it might disappear if it is going to be used at the similar rate it has been used currently. Okay, next part where we are supposed to finish our introduction is to address this question. They have asked you two questions, and in the response to these two questions, you will have to give a passing reference in your introduction, which you are going to explain in your body paragraphs. How can we do that? It prompts, what prompts? The threat of depletion, right? Threat of disappearance prompts a critical examination of how we can conserve them with some energy efficient practices and seek sustainable alternatives like solar and wind power to ensure a resilient energy future. Look, when you are talking about introduction, your introduction needs a passing reference to all those points which you are going to elaborate in your body paragraph. Your body paragraph should be a direct explanation of something that you have already expressed in your introduction. I always tell you that a number of students usually finish their introduction by saying very simple lines. For example, in this case, they could have said by after introducing it, after paraphrasing the first part, they might have said that they, we need to conserve these resources for a better future, and there are a number of alternatives to make a better future for energy. So, yes, I have answered those questions, but there is no basis to that. I have just said that yes, it is needed and it can be done, but I didn't give you any basis. So, for that basis, we have to give the passing reference to those ideas which we are going to elaborate in our body paragraph. So, you can clearly see in the first part, I have highlighted a phrase energy efficient practices. That is something we are going to talk about in the response to our first question, how can we conserve these resources, right? And in the second part of introduction, I have also talked about some alternatives like solar and wind power. I haven't explained them. I have just given a passing reference to them so that my question has been addressed in my introduction itself. And now my body paragraph 2 is going to be a direct explanation of this reference. So it is not only going to give you a good task achievement, but it also will help you to make your essay answer very coherent. Your coherence marks will be good if you are adopting such practices. All right. Now I would want you to pause the video once again and write your own introduction and post that in comment box. Well, moving ahead, we are going to talk about body paragraph 1 part where we will talk about one particular segment of the response, that is conservation. Because we have two parts in our question, so we are going to address first part of our question, that is related to conservation, right? Okay, how do we do conservation? How do we have to conserve those fossil fuels? Let's have a look on it. It says conserving fossil fuels is imperative to prolong their availability and mitigate environmental impacts. So we have introduced our first idea, that is conservation. Why is it necessary? Now we have to develop it. We have to elaborate this idea with some relevant ideas that are associated with it. So it says, if we embrace energy efficient technologies and practices, obviously this is something we talked about in introduction. If we do that across sectors such as industry, transportation, and residential buildings, we will significantly reduce the demand. So in this way, we have talked about conservation in our first segment. Okay, now your idea must further be supported by some relevant examples. Right? If you do that, your idea is going to be really strong. What examples can be? They have said some strategies like promoting public transportation, enhancing insulation in buildings, and investing in energy efficient appliances all contribute to minimizing fossil fuel consumption. So, this is how you have to support your idea with a relevant example which can be directly connected to this. Please remember that sometimes I have seen students making a big mistake by introducing or by explaining ideas in some other ways and giving totally irrelevant examples. Because if you do that, again, your task achievement is going to be hampered. Okay, so in conservation, we have to give one more idea. We have to expand it a bit. So in that way, it says, moreover, transitioning to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower for electricity generation can alleviate reliance on fossil fuels. So how can we conserve fossil fuels? This is another way that we have to find some alternatives. Obviously, the crux of our next paragraph is about those alternatives, but here we are talking about reducing the burden on fossil fuels. So finding some alternatives can reduce the burden on these fossil fuels, and in this way we can also achieve this target of conservation. So this is how you have to introduce your conservation in body paragraph 1, then explain it with relevant examples. Okay, now I would again request you to pause the video, write your own body paragraph and post that in comment box so that I can see was it really helpful for you or not. Okay, moving to next part, that is body paragraph 2. And in body paragraph 2, as we discussed in introduction, we are going to talk about or we are going to address the second part of our question, that what alternatives can we incorporate to make a better future in the segment of energy and save the fossil fuels, right? Okay, so what alternatives can be there? Let's have a look on those. So they say exploring some sustainable alternatives to fossil fuels is essential for long-term energy security. That's the introduction of the idea, that we have to find some alternatives so that we can have a better future and we can also conserve some of the fossil fuels. Well, renewable energy technologies such as solar and wind power offer scalable solutions for electricity generation without greenhouse gas emissions. Target from the very beginning of this essay was to save the environment and to conserve the fossil fuels. So if we are incorporating these things, for example, solar and wind power, we are certainly going to have more energy without consuming maximum of fossil fuels. So this is how you have to introduce your idea and develop it with a number of examples. Okay, supporting it, there is another alternative that we can take care of or that we can apply in energy generation. That is, additionally, advancements in battery storage technology facilitate the integration of intermittent renewable energy sources into the grid. So, another way, another alternative where we can save fossil fuels is to enhance the capacity of storage of that electricity which has been generated by renewable resources, sustainable renewable resources like solar and wind power. It is also going to help in that case. Okay, we can also add on some more ideas if we wish to. It says beyond renewables, innovative technologies like hydrogen and fuel cells and biofuels present promising alternatives for transportation and industry. So this is something you can add on. You can also finish your response here too with two alternatives. If you have anything else in mind, you can also add that with proper connectors. So this is going to help you to address the second part of your question, where you have to tell that what are some alternatives to fossil fuels. So these are the alternatives, but what you have to learn here is to introduce those alternatives and develop them into ideas, because if you are developing them, only then your essay is going to give you good scores. Otherwise it's going to be just a fragment of an essay. If you're just giving the passing reference to these, it's not going to give you good scores. You have to be very elaborative about them. You have to be very meaningful about them. Okay, so again, task for you to pause the video and write down your body paragraph giving your alternatives and post that in comment. All right, moving to our final segment of the essay, that is conclusion. So, as I always say, your conclusion should be the direct rendering of the entire conversation you had previously. Your introduction, your body paragraph 1, your body paragraph 2 must be included in your concluding part. How do we do that? Let's see. Okay, in conclusion, proactive measures are crucial to navigating beyond fossil fuels towards a sustainable energy future. By conserving fossil fuels through energy efficient and transitioning to renewable energy sources and innovative technologies, we can mitigate the looming energy crisis and address environmental challenges. So, this is something we talked about in the introduction, that there is a dire need to conserve the fossil fuels because these are being depleted, and there is another requirement of finding the alternatives through which we can produce energy and we can keep our lives going on the way it is going on. So this is the same conversation we explained in previous three paragraphs, and here we are concluding it with such words. We can also add to conclusion by saying that embracing these strategies fosters resilience, reduces dependency on finite resources, and paves the way for a cleaner, greener future for generations to come. So this is how you have to give a crux of entire conversation you previously had. But it is a simple part, because sometimes I have seen students being confused in conclusion that what they are supposed to say in it. You just don't worry about it. Just say the things that you previously said, but in a very summarized manner. You don't have to bring any new ideas for your conclusion. You just have to conclude something that you were talking previously. You just have to tell that why is it important. According to the conversation, it is very important, and according to the previous conversation, there are certain ways through which we can do this and achieve our ultimate goal that we had in mind before starting the conversation of the essay. Okay, again, I would request you to write your own conclusion and put it in the comment box. All right. So this is the final preview of the essay that we have generated from our entire workshop. Please take a screenshot. It is going to be a good reference when you are supposed to practice your double question essays, and it will help you a lot to make good structures, implement good vocabulary, and finally get good scores, that is obviously more than 8 bands in your writing. So that's all from double question type of essays workshop. Well, our contact details are available on screen. If you want to contact us for more information related to IELTS training, you can WhatsApp on this number. We are available in offline as well as online mode of training. So if you really wish to connect with us, please ping. Thank you.